Hi, God bless you, everybody. Not gonna be before you long. Just wanted to make this quick video. Um, so I had this dream this morning where I was feeding beavers, and I had this like an inward conversation with myself, and I said, you know what, I gotta stop feeding these beavers because if I keep feeding them, then they're not gonna create. They're not gonna do what beavers do because they're just gonna be used to me feeding them. And I said that they're not gonna create the dams that they usually create. They're not gonna just be them. They're not gonna be themselves. And so I was like, I'm gonna stop feeding them. And then I woke up. So what God is saying is that um, you have a lot, and this is for whoever it is for, but you have a lot inside of you. You have a lot of talents, gifts, abilities that you have inside of you. You're a creative person, but you're not using it. And God is saying the reason why that is because you become complacent because of what you have. Maybe you feel secure in what you have. You really feel as though, and I'm speaking about business, you really feel as though you don't have to, create. You don't have to have a side hustle because you have enough. And then there's another side of you, another side of people who feel as though that, well, I don't have enough, and where's the financial windfall that God usually provides for me? God is a provider, and that never changes. But yet, there's a certain time where God begins to switch up on you. I know when I first came to the Lord, it was just like God would just, drop blessings on me and just, surprise me. And He still does. But there's a different level that God wants you to be on where He wants to not just bless you with windfalls here and there or checks in the mail, but He wants to bless the works of your hands. And some of you guys aren't using the works of your hands. They're not using the gifts, the talents, and the abilities that God has given you because you're just waiting on God to drop it on your lap. And God is saying, I want to bless the works of your hands. And I want a return on the deposit that I put inside of you. I want you to use the creativeness that I put inside of you. I want you to bring that out and begin to master the craft that I put inside of you. So some of you guys are like crafters. Some of you guys sew. Some of you, you draw. You have, artistic abilities. And God is saying that, yeah, it's like you're anointed to do that. But yet you still need to practice it. Some of you are, musicians or whatever. And you can always get better at your craft. And God is saying that He wants you to master it, and he wants you to he wants it to be profitable for you. So, and it makes me think of Lydia, the seller of purple. Because sometimes we can be like, well, God don't, that what that got to do with the Lord or whatever, business and stuff like that. It does. The only problem with it that it comes to is that when we begin to mingle the things of the Lord with the business. There's a fine line. There's a fine line. There's a I don't want to go too much into it, but there's a fine line. Okay, so but what God wants us to do is to use the talent that He's put inside of us. And, it makes me think of the story in the New Testament where Jesus tells a parable about the three men that got different levels of talents. And the guy that had the one, he buried his. And of course, they were speaking about coins, but you can use that word talent as a pun intended, because the talent, some of us are burying our talents, our gifts. And, there's many people who went to their grave never unleashing or unfurling the gift that God has put inside of us. And God says He wants that to come out. And God says that He will bless it. But you need to be persistent and consistent, and don't just think, oh, well, I made the dress and it's not selling. You got to be persistent. Some of you, you have to make more than one. You know what I mean? Like, people like to see, in thinking about like a business mindset, people like to see that you have more than one dress, that you have like, at least 30, that you're going to start up with. So whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you're a natural born editor and grammar is your thing. You need to get out there and start doing that. But instead, we are dependent upon that 9 to 5, and that's taking all of our time, our effort, and our gift. Now, I'm not saying that you go ahead and I'm not saying you go ahead and quit your job. Like, many people have done that during the pandemic, but I'm not saying to go ahead and quit your job. I'm just saying that, maybe you dedicate an hour each day after work or whatever it is. And I know everybody's time is stretched, but you can find the time. And the reason why I'm saying you can find the time is because God is saying that it's telling you that it's time to launch it. It's time to do it. And one step in front of the other. And it makes me think like, oh God, well, I'm still not going to get am I still going to get the checks in the mail? I like that. God is still a provider, and he still loves to surprise us and bless us. But he has for some of you, some of those checks in the mail might have dried up because God is trying to provoke you to use your talent so that he can bless it. And, and the other thing, it's what he has invested in you. When you came into being, before you came into being, God was like, okay, this is the artist, this is the painter, this is the, the seamstress, this is, it makes me think of there's a part, I think I don't know, in Leviticus or Deuteronomy, one of them, Exodus, one of them where it was just like, God was like telling Moses, I have put the knowledge of whatever tapestry inside of this particular person. Like, it's already in there, like it's in that person, and God has put there's how many of us are walking around today where God has put the knowledge in them. And it's funny, I could tell the story about, I had never used a sewing machine in my life, and I took this one class one day and I began to sew like I had always done it. It was so weird. And years later, now I recognize what that was. God had already put it inside of me. I just needed someone to just kind of point me in the right direction, and kind of took off with it. And so there's many of you out there like that. Many of you out there that have talent, and there's so many things where people will say, well, if you didn't start that, that instrument at 3 or 4 years old, it's pretty much a wrap for you. You're never going to be that good. But if God has put that talent in you, it's going to be like riding a bike. Like, how they say, like, once you rode a bike, you always know how to ride a bike. It's going to be like as if you had already rode that bike. It's going to be as if you had already started sewing when you were 2. It's going to come to you. It's going to be like what they say, you're a natural. You're a natural. And that's the reason why these people are naturals, because God had already put that talent into them. So God is saying to go ahead and use that. Also, 2 years ago, it's weird, I did do a video on a beaver, slightly different message, but the beaver represents the same thing, is that they're creative. Look at the works that they do when they make the daggone when they make the dam. It's a work of art. And it's so many. And I'm crazy because I would sit down and watch a nature show. I don't plan on doing it, but what else I'm going to watch on TV? Because there ain't nothing else on you can watch. Everything is so defiled on TV. But every now and then I'll watch a nature show, and it'll just come on the TV. And they'll talk about it. Like, the scientists were like, they marvel at the work of this daggone beaver and how they create these dams. And so God is saying that there's something inside of you that you can create And God is wanting you to create. We're supposed to be like our Father, and our Father is a creator. And so we need to create with the materials that we have around us. And so, yeah, I think I think that's it that I wanted to say. All right, well, and I'm supposed to say like, share, and subscribe. So like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell. Also, I guess nobody don't want it, but I have this gift card I would like to give to somebody, that maybe is in a financial need. Just email me at dreamreceiver1@gmail.com. Right? Yeah, dreamreceiver1@gmail.com. And just let me know that you're in need, and why, or whatever. Short little 2 or 3 sentences, and I'll shoot it to you. I'll take a picture of it or whatever, and hopefully maybe you can use it that way. I don't feel like doing the whole mail thing, because then I had to put my return address on it, and I don't like that. So please let me know. Otherwise, I don't know. All right, well, God bless you. I love you. Until we meet again.